Welcome to Biology 101. This is Introduction to Biology, or I guess Biology 1 is what we're calling it. The first module we are going to be doing these online lectures for is Module 1. And I'm going to break this up into two pieces. The first part will tell you a little bit about me and how this course is going to operate. And then the second part of this Module 1 video is going to introduce the content from the first chapter, which is kind of an overview um, of what we're going to learn in this course. Right. So basically, the outline for these lectures, who am I? How will this course work? Those are the first things I'm going to cover, and then we will get into the big ideas from Module 1. The properties of life, the levels of organization in living systems, the diversity of life, evolution, and the process of science we're going to cover in lab. So that won't be part of this lecture. All right, so I'm going to start out with some really embarrassing old photos. To give you a little bit of background, I have been working at PCC since 2002, so quite a while now. And before that, I went to college, went to Bard College in upstate New York, and got a bachelor's of arts in biology. And then after that, I moved on to Oregon State University and um, studied forest entomology. That is to say, the arthropods, the insects and spiders and mites that are living in the forest, and especially the forest canopy. Um, this was right before I went up in the canopy crane near Wind River, Washington, and it's a fantastic and terrifying experience to be in the treetops, but not really attached to anything except this little cable that goes to a construction crane. Um, all right. After grad school, I decided that, learning new things is awesome, but making people aware of the stuff that we already know is even better. So I started teaching part-time at a variety of schools and landed at PCC. My full-time job at PCC is actually not teaching, it is setting up the biology labs. Um, so the good news is, if you want to get a hold of me on campus, I'm usually around Monday through Friday, typical working hours. The bad news is I might be busy getting other people's labs ready. So, um, all right. So that's a little bit about me. I can't wait to learn more about you in lecture and lab on Wednesday. Uh, okay, there we go. So how is this course going to work? So the lecture part of this course is kind of a hybrid model. The good news is you don't need to buy a textbook. Our textbook is OpenStack's Concept of Biology. So it's all online. If you'd like a hard copy of a textbook to be able to, touch pages and highlight things, you have that option to buy it in the bookstore, and it's not very expensive, at least as far as textbooks go. I think like $35 or less. But you don't need to buy it. I'll have links to the readings in our D2L page under contents. We'll have weekly modules, and the readings for each week will be in there. Most of the content will be kind of identical between the online version and the printed version, but every now and then, again, I might supplement a little bit. So there might be extra things that you'll want to read in our content modules. So the weekly routine is that you will read the book and watch these lecture videos. They might be mine. I might have some guest lecturers, aka YouTubers that have higher production values than I do. Um, And then after you've done that, you'll take the study guide survey, which is basically kind of our learning objectives, to kind of assess yourself. How are you doing in meeting those objectives after kind of the first pass at the content? And then there's an online lecture quiz that you can take. And those are set up so that you can retake those as many times as you want. There's no reason that you can't earn all the points on those, other than maybe time constraints. So, um, but really, these assignments are really kind of formative assignments to get you working on the material and engaging with the material, and helping yourself figure out, oh, what do I need to pay a little more attention to versus what are the things that I already know pretty well. So, and then the other weekly item for lecture is to attend the lecture meeting. That is going to be Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. in Jackson Hall, room 102 at PCC Cascade. Um, so uh, there we are going to work on lecture activities that are worth 2 points, and we'll also review the idea behind the study guide survey is that I can get a sense of where the class is and what I need to spend a little bit of extra time in those lecture meetings reinforcing versus what can we move on from because everyone's already mastered it. So if you can take the study guide surveys and online lecture quizzes before these lecture meetings, that is awesome. If not, no worries. We'll try and reinforce your understanding as best we can in that limited in-person lecture time. All right, there are a few other quote-unquote lecture items. The exams, we're going to have basically 100 points worth of exams, so about a quarter of your overall grade is going to be these exams. There's a midterm in week 6, and that we're only going to have actually a little less than an hour for. So, because of that, I'm going to say it's 50 points. If you do well on it, great. If you don't do as well as you'd like, we are also going to have a comprehensive final exam. We're going to have more time for that, so that might be a little more in depth. Same number of points, 50 points, but the nice thing for you is that if you don't do very well on the midterm and you get a higher score on the final exam, I'm just going to throw out your midterm score and double your final exam score. So really this is set up in a way to maximize success, and really the way I'm going to measure that success is at the end of the term. So the final doesn't have to be a high stakes exam, but it is a good opportunity to prove, to demonstrate everything you've learned throughout the term. We're also going to have a term-long project. It'll be worth 50 points. I'll have details for you next week, but I think I'll probably present those details in our lab meeting just because we have a little more time then. Okay. What about the lab? So again, you don't need to buy a lab manual. That you can download and print out yourself. If you really, PC, I should back up a bit and say that PCC has a free printing allowance. I think it's only 100 double-sided pages, so not very much. But also the Multnomah County Library prints out up to 100 pages per day for free. So there's options. There are no-cost options for your printing. And I would really recommend having a printed copy of that lab manual. I'll have the first lab exercise printed out for you, so you don't need to worry about that one. But for weeks 2 through 9, maybe 10, I'm still figuring out what to do for week 10. But those weeks, you will print out the lab packet. If you would rather work electronically, that's okay, but it's really not a great idea to have your electronic devices out in the lab room, just because there could be hazardous chemicals, pathogens, or even just water, which will destroy your electronic devices. So, um, but if you really, really, really want to work electronically for the labs, there's probably a way to like maybe take some notes on blank paper and integrate that into an electronic file later. But we can discuss that more. But in any case, you'll need the lab instructions and the background information. You'll need that. I want you to read the lab completely before you get to lab. Uh, in the past, I've had pre-lab assignments that you would complete to demonstrate that you have read the lab, but I am I'm going to see how we do without them. uh, so we'll see if that works well this term, and if it does, then maybe we don't need to do pre-labs um, going forward. But you're going to be my test class for seeing if the pre-labs are really valuable. So, so after you've read the lab, then you will attend the lab meeting. Again, these are Wednesdays at noon in Jackson Hall 108 at PCC Cascade. You'll participate in the lab work for that week, and then you will work on completing your lab packet, like basically the instructions and the protocols. Also have spaces for your data and questions about the data, maybe graphing the data, things like that. And then at the end of the lab, or first thing the next during next week's lab, you'll turn in that completed lab report, really just the lab packet for each week, and that will be worth 12 points. So that's basically how this course is going to run. I'm going to wrap up this video now, and then part 2, which will be the actual material for the first week, will be in the next video link.